Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to game number 2 tonight and our final game for this evening. My name is hi-rez Bart. That is Brandon Nance, a.k.a. Juice DM.
How do you know my name?
I am actually capable of reading while not looking at the bottom of the screen. I got it out of my periphery. That being said, we are moments away from our final game of the night. It's Snipe versus Thurst, ladies and gentlemen. And, well, similar situation to what we just saw.
Yeah.
Thurst needing a win, Snipe.
Maybe a bit more dire, though, because Thurst pretty much must win. They cannot afford any more losses.
Yeah, they need to start winning. They need to get on that Dignitas train and get, 5, 6 in a row here.
6 now. They have 6 wins in a row.
Yeah, you would have never thought. I mean, looking at Dignitas going 0-4 through those first games, saying, well, they've played 20% of their games and they're all were losses is pretty tough. But, well, it's now on to the boys of Thirst to find themselves a win. Let's go into the picking and banning phase as Snipe is starting things off with the first ban.
So,
buttons.
Chaos side, super strong right now. Thirst has maybe a small advantage. So they got to use
Perhaps.
it.
Well,
they got to use it. Plus,
that advantage goes away real quick when you start drafting things like Sun Wukong in the jungle.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Sun
Fenrir.
Wukong. I love Sun Wukong.
I mean, that's his last. That's Wolfie's last 2 games that I've commentated were Fenrir and Sun Wukong.
Yeah, the Fenrir has got to stop.
Well, what about the Sun Wukong? Jungle Sun Wukong?
No jungle Wukong. Support Wukong.
Okay, yes.
Support
And
Wukong.
it seems to be a top pick for Brochacho, but, well, we'll see. Snipe going to be first banning out Osiris here. This reeks of homework. Not normally a first ban. However, Osiris is starting to make his way back into that not top pick, but that viable.
People are starting
heavily
to
prioritized
understand how much damage he can really do. And another shot, possibly to Wolfie. There's Nemesis gets taken out.
Nemesis taken out. Thirst banning out Socket. And as we mentioned, even though she is currently bugged.
Osmos.
Oh, hey, it's Osmos.
Osmos, not Neruma. That was Neruma for the last, 3 games for no reason when it was supposed to be Osmos. So, welcome to the Smite Pro League, Osmos.
In his first game here, we'll see how he is able to do. First pick coming out on the side of Snipe. They're going to go ahead and it looks like take a Mercury here, snap, locking him. On the side of Thirst, well, they can respond in a pretty powerful way here. They can take, my guess, my bet for what you should take here is Zhang Kui and Giannis.
Right, yeah, Zhang Kui super
pretty
strong.
much
Nemesis
impossible.
Off the table, you got to take it, but that also gives up Geb.
It gives up Geb, and it would in theory give up Loki
and I like
as well.
Ra too. I think Ra is really strong.
Yeah, Ra has perennially been very strong. One of the strongest kits in Smite.
And forever now.
Yeah, and also obnoxious. Just obnoxious to play against. The slow lasting extremely long time, especially with detonates. But
wait.
Thirst is going to go ahead and draft Kronos in the top spot
of course.
But is it really worth it?
I mean, why wouldn't you pick Kronos first?
Well,
I mean, he's
Fusion
like
OP
the top of mid tier.
Has played him basically every game he's available.
This is not looking good.
However, they have won 1 game. So I wouldn't say that Fusion OP Kronos pick is a lock.
My issue is that even if Fusion is going to do amazing with this god, he wasn't going to get picked there.
Yes. You're absolutely right.
They could have waited.
And now here's Snipe. Snipe's like, if you went to Incon, the captain of the team, said, what first 3 picks would you like to get? He'd probably say Mercury, Apollo, Geb. And, well, Mercury, Apollo, Geb they've got. Thirst now taking a long, hard look at the dog. If they draft this, they clearly know something that I don't about how good Anubis is. Because he's looking at an interesting kind of role to fill there. And, well, any mage drafted in this position is going to be kind of interesting what they're going to do with it. It's going to be a Zhang Kui locked in. But where are these guys going?
Well, Zhang Kui...
It's going to be Hunter Kronos.
I mean...
It's going to be Hunter Kronos.
Possible.
Or support Ra or jungle Ra.
Well, the lineup's going to switch again. Brochacho most likely going to be going back to support. Now, originally, I had talked to Osmos. He said, that they didn't want to do certain roles in certain ways and that Osmos wasn't going to be able to join the team in certain situations, which is why they tried Nerima, who, didn't work out. They didn't quite have the same push they were looking for. So I'm curious to see what roles they're going to take. The only thing I can assume is that Brochacho's going back to support.
Giannis banned out here by Thirst. That probably would have been the next pick for Snipe on that list of who would you like to get, Incon.
Yeah, right?
Would have been a Giannis, but still a lot of things open here.
Wukong ban.
Notably the Agni Yan. Wukong going to get banned out, as it is such a top priority god for El Brochacho, as well as Wolfie likes him in the jungle.
Sure.
Now, what I'm looking at here is that we're likely to see one of these 3 gods go to the jungle role, or really probably more likely one of these 3 gods is going to be going into that hunter role, with the other 2 going to the solo and mid lane. Top bets, of course, going to be Kronos, going to be in that hunting role.
I see. What I really like is that they banned away Sun Wukong because he's basically the only physical support right now that's really up there, with the Gebs. You know, that's what you need. So taking him out is going to force them into a chalk pick, which is, I mean, this could be support, this could be jungle.
Yeah, you got to think that at this stage, Thurst's draft is going to be a fifth and final pick probably into some kind of another kind of warrior frontline-y hybrid tank sort of style, right? I mean, but what they're so lacking in here is physical damage, and what they really need is some kind of big physical burster,
right?
Maybe a Hun bots.
Yeah,
would synergize pretty well
would be
here.
Good here, especially with Wukong and Kronos.
Yeah,
being able to delay Kronos' damage taking, you know, kind of counter-initiate with Fear No Evil, allowing Kronos to get off more damage and more abilities before having to go into the rewind.
Yeah, but giving up a damn near perfect draft here to Snipe is Thurst with the Aphrodite and Agni rounding that squad out. I mean, when you're talking about win rates and damage dealt and GPM and tiers, Snipe's got it all. But Thurst has Ra, who is kind of, and Junkwei, who are both out of that top end picking tier. Another good physical style tanky frontliner is Guan Yu, and we saw
Zimstar just body with this character in solo lane this
30 protection reduction is pretty gnarly.
It's good. It's good.
It's pretty good. Now
it's a lot better than I expected.
So Guan Yu's going to go the way of Brochacho. Chalk likely going to the jungle here for Wolfie. Jaco going to be mid laning, and it's going to be Fusion as your solo lane Junkwei, so that Chrono's not going his way.
I mean, that might have been a swap there. They might not have planned to go into that originally, but you have to send that against Afro. You cannot send Ra against Afro. He's just going to get destroyed. But this is a lineup from Snipe that I just don't understand how it got.
I mean, here's the thing.
How did Mercury and Geb get on the same team?
How is Thurst going to deal with what should be just all invade left side the entire game, right? Like, what are they going to do to stop the Mercury Apollo Geb from taking any camp they want?
And to the same regard, late game, what are they going to do against Mercury when he's getting all kinds of smooches?
Right, yeah. Geb shield plus Afro, sustain, and ultimate on that Mercury. He'll be doing plenty to hyper carry. And even more so, Snipe's going to be able to spread this map out really, really disgusting. That 4-man death ball between the Geb, Mercury, Agni, and Aphrodite is everything they need. The sustain, the burst damage, the AoE, the initiation, the tankiness that Apollo can just split fully. And they can do plenty of damage from range between the bombs and the birds.
And with that, we can actually, if he tries, maybe gets a little bit brave, can take not beats and not Aegis. He can go into sprint here and then use the kiss and use the Geb shield effectively to increase his damage overall, allow himself to get to the backline safely, and still get out if necessary, while being basically invincible the entire time.
Although more likely probably is going to be a Heavenly Agility coming out, maybe on both the mages here, to deal with Junkwei. And Ra, but I mean, just those active items do very well against Junkwei, disengaging.
Well, they're going to need a weakening curse somewhere because John can heal.
Yeah, that's
Ra
fair.
Can heal,
that's
Guak
fair.
Can
So
heal,
the weakening likely going on the side
can
of Aphrodite. One would expect probably a shell for Geb to deal with Junkwei. So you won't maybe not that Heavenly Agility coming out. Probably BJ just for the Agni to deal with, well, just the ridiculous frontline nature that Thurst has. I mean, if they get to the back line, they're not going to be able to be routed from there, but it's just a matter of this one's on a razor wire because if they fall behind at all, the damage is just not going to be there.
Let's talk about Divine Ruin. Now, Afro, major healer, right? And then the other side, they have 4 healers. I'm kind of half expecting to see both Afro and Junkwei picking this up pretty early.
Yeah, definitely the Afro. Tremendous amount of synergy where there with that kit. The item not only makes her basically, 100 to 0 full healed anytime she wants, or 0 to 100. If she lands the birds on targets, it's free HP. I mean, it's 100% HP basically. It's so easy to build into, and it stacks up quickly. It's one of the best
move in the game, honestly. Lovebirds. It does great damage. It's slow enough to where you can kite creeps into it and not over push. It's fast enough in the front to make sure you're doing damage. Does a ridiculous amount of damage and heals you and possibly another person for almost a ridiculous amount.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, really, when you look at Aphrodite, it's most of her potency from a damage standpoint comes from, the fact that she's using the birds that scales at, probably 300% with all the ticks it does, and then back off scales at like 80% with like 260, I want to say, base damage. She's far, far burstier than she appears on paper.
And she used to be worse. Like in terms, she used to do more damage.
She used to do more. That's right. Back off actually nerfed. So let's take a look here at our supports. El Brochacho on the right side there, you can see struggling with the 0.4 KDA, and with only the 1 win out of 9, 12% win-loss ratio for the boys of Thurst. On the other side, Incon and Snipe enjoying a bit more success.
Yeah, definitely. You can see the 62% win rate is obviously much higher than El Brochacho's, but to be fair, this isn't a super fair comparison because El Brochacho was forced into the hunter role.
That's true.
Which he is very much not attuned to.
That is not his primary role.
Yeah, comparatively to his Guardian play, which is good.
Especially on Sun Wukong. I mean, that's been his, and that's why you see that ban coming out. Wolfie and El Brochacho both really liking that god in their respective roles, of course, support and jungle there. Well, guys, this one, it's pretty much going to come down to Thurst. I mean, we say this often, I think, but it's got to be early and often for them. I mean,
definitely.
They've got to get out ahead, because if they don't with this bruiser-based lineup, they're going to be so damage anemic.
The issue is they don't have a lineup that really lends well to trying to get in there. Brochacho opting away from the heavy hammer. Wolfie opting away from the heavy hammer. They don't have a lot of CC in the beginning. Notably, Brochacho has none except for a slow. Wolfie will have none except for a slow that he won't take until level 4. This is not a lineup that's going to get first blood. I mean, it just isn't.
Yeah, Wolfie cutting gold here, actually. Only picking up 2 wards on top of the Death Soul. So
maybe he's just trying to get out of the base fast.
600 gold in hand for him. Maybe. Yeah, this could.
Yeah, he's going to go
looks
back.
like it. Yeah. Yeah. The only reason you would do that is for some kind of Heartseeker rush without tipping your hand. But he is going to go ahead and head back there. So that's going to be that on the side of Snipe.
Okay.
Kiki and Jerby both opening up Tiny Trinket.
Wolfie
this guy.
Wolfie has picked up a potion.
This
physical might
guy is something else.
So, all right, here's the mindset, guys. Wolfie is going to be your jungler for Thirst on the top side. He has opted away from Hand of the Gods.
Right.
That is the call here. He's using the potion of physical might to get himself through the early game so that he can pick up something like sprint beads or beads blink, something like that. The issue here is that they have one Hand of the Gods on the team, which means the late game, if Brochacho dies, they have absolutely no contention for objectives. Talking mostly about the Gold Fury and the Fire Giant. Now, with this, that means they have to go all out. No, all the stops have to be pulled out, and they have to go in. If they don't find early kills, if they don't get the control, this is going to... Ooh, new start for this. Check this out. Bottom side, looks like Jerby's going to be joining the duo lane. Incontinentia starting the rollout there to get some extra damage. And it looks like Jerby's going to go to lane with this, and the right side's going to just 2-man the mid camp. Curious.
And then speed buff goes to
Jerbs. I was going to say, I wonder why they're going to do that. I thought it was originally going to go to Incon. Jerby is super experience intensive. And notably, 3-manning a mid camp is going to give you more experience than 3-manning a buff camp. So to see him do that was curious, but it looks like he wants the speed buff to maybe try to contend with rod damage? Not sure.
That's a tough one, right? Because especially with the Mercury on the team, speed buff's giving him so much. Likely just to take the red buff on the weaken here. Probably the idea is going to be... This one's a tough call.
Ooh, Wolfie, not in a good spot here. Low health as well. He's going to move back in. Weaken's going to look for this.
Yeah, he's going to grab here, but Bird's already used. No,
yeah, that was
actually not going in. So
Kiki did not get Kiss at level 2. This is strange. All right, Fusion not getting super low yet. Back off already used. This is not a good push for the guys on Snipe. And Wolfie doing a serious amount of damage. Weaken could be in a lot of trouble, but a nice kiss from Kiki will deter.
Yeah, the axe is out, but it's not going to be enough to pick up Weaken there. And, well, Kiki actually got a little unlucky there with his Kiss placement. Unable to find the appropriate target there. And, well, that's pretty much all she wrote for that engagement over here on the right side lane, where on paper here the advantage is pretty heavily in favor of Mercury and Aphrodite, but playing it pretty well as Thirst. But as you can see, with that kind of all-in nature that you were suggesting, Wolfie is very, very low and forced back early on. I mean, every second is gold wasted when you have a red pot.
Not to mention, he has opted into Death Toll, which is not Bumba's Mask, which means no MP5, and while he does have some sort of clear casting that he can do with his passive overflow, it's not nearly going to sustain him, even with the mana coming back from Death Toll to get him through the early jungle phases, forcing him, like you said, back, allowing Weaken to get an extra camp right there overall, and not to mention the mid camp in the beginning. He's going to split this right here 2 ways. This puts Jerby in an even better spot, which ultimately this is just hurting Jaco a ton.
Let's also take a look, as we've been watching the left side here, guys. You can see Incon is just all over Osmos here. Anytime this time slot comes out, it's immediately countered.
Oh yeah,
onto Allied. The shield coming out right away, and but you can see what the Chronos does do for you here. Does a lot with that blue buff early on, and his clear is quite nice compared to the Hunter until about level 7 or 8, where it's pretty much all square on the Apollo there with the So Beautiful.
Well, that and El Brochacho has Tallow Assault, which does not only a ridiculous amount of damage, but will not succumb to the knockup phase of Shockwave, allowing him to just get that extra damage off and ensure they push forward. Now, we're getting to the 3-minute mark, which means mid-camps. Incon, notably and uncharacteristically late on the rotation, getting pushed out again as El Brochacho is going to go towards the left camp.
Yeah, it looks like left camp is going to be easily secured by the boys of Thurst. Right side going to Snipe here, as there's no rotations from the solo lane and the dual lane. Well, it's pretty much already come down to it here. The camp's going to go down very, very quickly to these hogs as necessary, and it looks like both will elect to kill them with their damage over time. So, no items really being purchased yet. Weaken, one of the only characters actually advancing his build into those boots too. Everyone else around the map is pretty content. Weaken also here actually has elected to go into those beads. As you suggested, he may be looking for something else. But right side lane, Fusion up, he forced to use his ultimate to shirk off some of this damage. Going to heal up as well off the minion wave, but
I'm surprised they backed
not
off
what
that.
he's looking for.
I'm really surprised that they opted away from that. Sure, the damage was coming through, but I think with another good back off, if they baited for a little while longer, that could have been first blood. It was surprising, and notably, Weaken super, super aggressive, showing maybe uncharacteristic patience.
Oh, ultimate's active though. Fusion up, he's going to get caught by this one into the spin. And, well, it doesn't make you win instantly, but it's pretty dang good. And there, an easily executed gank by Snipe. Caught out of position there, Fusion OP. And, you know, they were both trying to run the same game, but Mercury just a bit stronger ganker than Chalk at this stage.
Expectedly, we see the first blood go to Snipe. I mean, their early game just plays so much better. Special delivery,
game
Lovebirds. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, this comp is outrageous.
Quite a bit better. And here's what we were talking about earlier in the game where what are they going to do about this?
Nothing. I mean, Wolfie is also sitting on a red pot. Don't forget, which is almost already out. He has about another minute
here's
on
the
this
response.
thing.
Left side, Orange Camp stolen away by the boys of Thurst.
All right, cute stuff. Make sure they're trying to, get that, point for point, that tick for tack going.
Yep.
But they're
Keeping the game
still
close,
800.
definitely.
They're still 800 down.
Yeah, 800. I mean, it's not a lot.
This is
but
trouble.
Some here, yeah. And in some trouble is going to be Osmos. We can actually missing the dash there, but this. Well, hell, everything's happening right now, basically, as now the Snipe coming through. A lot of damage, and Elbow Shots are hitting all of that ultimate. One of, I believe, the actually highest damaging ultimate in the game on any physical damage source is that Guan Yu ult, but it's just not enough to save the Chronos, and that's really the primary deficiency, I think, of the Guan Yu is, well, it's hard for him to peel in those 3v1 or 3v2 scenarios where a Geb or a Bacchus or, people with more of that hard CC can come in and try to bail out the Chronos there. He couldn't even buy enough time for the rewind, so down goes Death Orb Chronos.
Yeah, you can see the Doom Orb has come out. He has maybe a little bit of damage coming out towards the 9 to 10 minute mark, but as of right now, I mean, he's not going to have enough push to really start contending to the point where he can continuously go up to that tower. As you saw, a quick rotation from Weekend was enough to spell a very quick death for Osmos.
Oh man, that Doom Orb is going to be, I feel like that's spelling trouble.
Yeah, and they're going all in. We talked about
That's
this.
Great.
But at the same time, Wolfie's part of the all in. That potion's gone. That's 450 gold just in the tank, considering he's level 7 right now. Until we start to see his abilities come out, where we're going to see those actives start to take hold of team fights, Wolfie's effectively just way, way far behind Weekend, considering Weekend's also up 2 kills. There's basically 1,500 gold on Weekend right now.
And there's also a pretty big ward advantage right now in favor of Snipe Thurst. Oh man, they could get initiated on here as Elbro Chacho is not really in a great position to try to stop them here. Actually, Jacob forced beads early there, and the camp is easily taken by the boys of Snipe. However, they do leave the backside exposed, where Fusion OP is looking to pick up some of his own, but well, positioning here from Snipe is pretty nice with Weekend and Jerby pinching in onto the Thirst boys. Forced a recall on the left side is Osmos. Ultimate down.
Oh, they're going to go
Allied's
for
not
it.
going to stop.
Jerby actually going to almost get silenced out. He jumps away. Weekend starting to get low. We talked about this. Kiki has got to stay on Jaco. Incon getting low. 1 for 0 so far for Snipe as 4 people are going to turn to Kiki here. Jerby moves up as well. They had a really good push there, and honestly, Kiki was just on the wrong target.
Fusion OP is going to go down to the Flame Wave, making it an even trade. Thirst picking up their first kill. Snipe picking up their third. Yeah, even maybe a little bit of a stretch there. Well, I mean, pick up the jungler for the solo laner here. Solo laner missing out on a considerably more farm, as Weekend's going to be able to pick up these back camps where, well, Fusion OP's got quite a trek back to his solo lane where things have not necessarily been going great for him.
While of course there is the fact that Weekend was probably worth a little bit more gold given that he was 2-0 going into that, he also died much earlier in the fight with not much farm given away. Fusion still working his way back, whereas Weekend has already begun his farm.
I mean, this one to me still just comes down to why pick Chronos so early?
Why pick Chronos?
Yeah.
Unless you're the Boosh.
Right, I mean, but you
still can't believe he did that.
You could have had, the Geb.
Yeah, you could have had Geb. And, that's what, to me, this character, if you are first pick, if you're on the left side of the screen, Geb is a first pick opportunity. Granted, so is Mercury, and they still wound up getting both. That kind of thing shouldn't happen at this stage.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of flabbergasted at the the whole concept of first picking Kronos. Although, to be fair, he has outboxed Allied a few times here in the lane.
Sure, but when we get into the end
quickly.
game, when we get to the end game, Allied's going to give himself 55 protections and then slam into him, and he's going to try to rewind while taking 4 or 5 forms of damage.
Yeah, in theory, Demonic Grip comes out about the same time as Executioner, and it's a wash, even with that extra protection. But once the crit starts coming out, there's not much that the Kronos can do on that end. Once again, Snipe looking for at least some contention into the orange buff here.
3v4?
Yeah, it's a 3v4, but El Muchacho heading towards the mid lane.
Oh, you know what? Even if they don't contend this,
side tower.
Yeah, this is a win. The tower's not only taking damage, but they're going to lose experience by losing these creeps.
Yeah, it's actually going to take quite a bit of damage there. So they sacrifice, they 4-man the orange buff, and they do secure it, but at what cost?
It looks like, yeah, about 80% of the overall tower's health has been gone. Looks like Fusion OP level 10 right now, a little bit behind Kiki at level 11, on top of the fact that Kiki also has about 400 gold in the bank as well. Now, Fusion starting to get that bag stacked back up. Look to Wolfie here to maybe gain an opportunity to look for Kiki, but honestly, the issue here is that if he comes in with Stormcall, even off the stun, she can just negate it every single time. They really don't have a way to shut Aphrodite out.
You can see they're starting to build towards that weakening curse here. Creeping curse picked up on El Muchacho on top of his Midas boots. Of course, that's delaying his sovereignty. On the other side, Incon not going to be investing as far. I mean, you can see actually there's a Hog 3 and El Muchacho in addition there, where Incontinential's sitting on 900 gold and is going to have a rank 2 on his sovereignty sooner than later here. Camp's coming back up. Contention really a bit more heavily contested on the right side by Snipe. Thurst understandably not willing to commit at that stage, but now going pretty deep into the enemy jungle here past the midway point. Needs to be careful not to get tossed by Weaken here.
Ooh, Brochacho taking a lot of damage here. Rollout stopped in favor of getting that shockwave, and it works out as Weaken gets in there, finds the Major look for the kill, and Brochacho's going to go down. The issue here is, like we talked about, that was the only hand 3. The boys on Snipe might be looking for an opportunity for the Gold Fury. No, he just went back and bought it.
Yeah, he's just picked it up, but I mean, he's not going to make it there before Brochacho. It's more that
he's 10 seconds still.
He's at Hog 3 with the same effective timing before the first Gold Fury is contested, and has a lot more to his name.
Oh yeah, big time.
With the Blink 1 now, the warding coming out.
Though he's still behind in gold.
Brochacho sitting at 331 gold a minute. Incon sitting at 302 actually.
Yeah, Brochacho did.
Brochacho, I think, a lot there.
Yeah, he sat in lane for a little while longer before the rotations. Had that extra, Wrath of the Gods cooldown. So he was rotating around a lot, getting some extra camps in the back and doing things like that. He also was a part, with the assist, although Incon has been a part of 2. It's strange to see him so far ahead, possibly relating to last hits.
Ooh. Well, Weaken actually going to be going for the School of Golden Bow over the Heartseeker here on his Mercury, so a little bit different than what we saw last game. Thirst, they're starting to get the front line online with the Warlock Sashes coming out, but
right here.
They have it in them to 5-man?
Incon with a big win here as he drops a sentry on his side, finds out a ward. He's going to rotate over towards the left. Brochacho forced the cavalry charge early as Weakened special delivery gets wasted. Incon washes out as the ultimates gets used. This might, again, be an opportunity for them to go for the gold.
And Wolfie's been pretty silent this game.
Yeah.
They're really looking for, I think, that big chalk kind of counter initiation, especially at this Gold Fury contest, and this is where they really need Wolfie to show up big on that rotation, get that silence out, and let them burst down a couple of these targets on Snipe. Well, the tools that they have at their disposal with the picks that they have are just really, really outnumber what Thurst is going to be able to do.
4-1 right now. They're already up 1,700 gold, using the farm time effectively, yet still no objective pushes. Right side getting very low, actually notably low as Fusion OP is trying to make his way back. Birds go off. Kiki actually might have an opportunity to take this down, but instead he's going to use his time, which might be a little bit more wisely, to head back to the base. It looks like Chronos Pendant's online. He's grabbing up a slew of wards as well.
He's in a great spot. He's capped CDR. 12 minutes in, he's basically build complete. Just now it's a tank up a little bit. Get a Ratatouille somewhere in that mix, and maybe a Divine Ruin if he's feeling peckish. But Jeremy here with his Divine Ruin online, well, for some time now. In addition to the Pen Boots, he's got a reasonable amount of damage in addition to that healing debuff. And
well, this could be trouble, Bart. Left side, Weaken actually does get the camps. Oh, and no pressure coming out from the boys in red. They're going to rotate over towards the right side. This actually might be a 4v4. We're going to get a line in. Double Cataclysm. There's the Sonic Boom as well. That's huge.
Yeah, that's free gold for you as well. Allies coming in over the top. Wolfie could be in some trouble as well. Knockup's going to come through onto Jacob Malfoy, in fact. Rotation from Fusions here. Ultimate doing some damage, but only really onto Incon. And,
they got him.
Well, they're okay with that falling there if they can find some more kills. Indeed, they can as the backoff comes out. Dashing forward is Ally. Damage is enough on a Fusion OP with some nicely placed shots. Aphrodite Ultimate used to avoid that stun. Recall from Osmos is going to bring him back into the jungle. He has his spells available to him again, but does he really want to use them? Oh,
Osmos missing a very key attack right there, giving looks like Kiki enough time to get those birds back off. Watch him not only clear the wave here. Actually, oh, he's going to switch it to Jerb. He's going to keep Jerb alive instead of Allied, which seems to fine to me overall. Incon's back up. El Brochacho's back up. Jaco trying to work his way back as well. Even so, I mean, they had that. Plain and simple, they had that opportunity right there on Thurst, and they threw it away.
Yeah, interestingly enough, though, Snipe actually not going to be going for the Gold Fury here. I'm surprised to see that, considering they do have a tremendous advantage with that Hog 3 up on Incon. Only one Hog on the side of Thurst, and El Brochacho down at the time. They're actually going to spread back out and take buffs on their side of the map. Missed opportunity or no from Snipe?
It's hard to say. I mean, Brochacho was still kind of in the neighborhood. The steal potential was there since the cavalry charge hadn't been used. Jerby's bombs aren't doing enough damage yet with that Divine Ruin already online. And then Kiki's ultimate, of course, is back up, especially with that Chronos Pendant. He's actually max CDR right now. But at the same time, is that going to provide them with enough control to earn what could have been a coin flip? Well,
and where is this front line from Thurst there? I mean, in that fight, we saw a fight that extended for some time. Granted, it was a bit of a trickle in from Thurst. They didn't have their full fighting strength, but it definitely didn't feel like a powerful front-line four-bruiser team that they've assembled here.
Well, we got the blink in. Cataclysm hit two people very, very strongly. They were able to get a few bombs off as well, blowing up Brochacho before he could even really find a way in there. Now, once Wolfie got in and got the silence off and got some damage, it allowed Fusion to get in there, recall some demons, find a kill onto Incon, and then start pressing. But really, we look at Osmos there. He missed two really key shots, and then Kiki with a huge ultimate, stopping Allied from getting blown up and allowing him to continue through the fight.
You know what I'm noticing here, EDM, is that there's left side lane. We're going to have this fight coming out. Brochacho has dash. Is going to be the special delivery. There will not indeed. Ultimate being channeled, but I don't think there's much doing over there. Let's take a moment to consider something here. You picked a double frontline mage set. In fact, a kind of a 4 hybrid style team. Fusion OP blinking away. Nice job. Into Geb. Right, you let Geb go. So you let go probably the most potent percentage HP ultimate in the game into a team that's looking for it.
Speaking of which, really he's looking for it. He's actually silenced. Do they get it?
There's
Thurst
the play.
Does manage. Great silence coming out from Wolfie. They might pay for this. Incon's low, but he's not low enough.
Wiped.
2 kills. 3 kills going down off the back. A weakened Allied finds a double kill as
Agni's
well.
in position to cut this one off if he has another dash available soon. Jeremy doesn't look like he will. He will there, but he's just going to chip away at Malfoy. And well, going back to that idea there as Snipe collapses on a Thurst is that when you pick this many, sashes,
right,
which is a pure HP item and no defense, into a Geb that has percentage HP ultimate,
he's going to blow it up.
He's going to blow it up. So they should have banned this out going for this strategy, or at least picked it. And, well, honestly, I'm looking for Soul Reaver here onto Jerby.
That, to the same regard, I'm looking at Osmos, and the Doom Orb isn't working out. I mean, I know it's still early, he needs the damage, but he's got to do less fighting and more farming. Once that Gold Fury was low, and pardon me for a minute, but these are ranged characters. They should not be standing in the Gold Fury's melee range. They were way too close. They got caught by Geb, and, maybe Geb didn't get his full kit off. Maybe he didn't get the blow-up that he was looking for, but they still were forced to scatter instead of just
they were still caught by Geb, right? They still got caught by the let's kill the Geb trick.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I mean, and they go in to kill him. He ults them, by himself another second. It's enough time for the collapse, and a very, very nice collapse there by Snipe. Diving the tower for Fusion OP here is Jerby, left alone now by the Geb, but the dot damage is going to be enough. He's going to eat a few tower shots, but not going to be anywhere near the lethal range as he walks out of tower range, and Wolfie unable to follow suit. No blink for the Chalk.
That was a little frustrating. Jerby could have killed that tower probably in 2 hits, and instead ran away from it, taking more damage than he probably should have. Let's see here. 1, 2... actually, maybe a little bit more. I would have taken like 4 hits. But still, at the same time, they do manage to pick it up. Jerby's looking good right now. 303 as well as Allied. They have the first... all the first-tier towers down across the board there. I mean, that's 1,500 gold, negating the Gold Fury pickup, which puts them 4,100 gold ahead, and Thurst, once again, is on the ropes.
I mean, I'm deadly serious about this Soul Reaver pickup on Jerby. Look at Jaco. He's building into Helmet. I mean, he's going physical protection.
Yeah,
the likely pickup here is going to be something like an Obsidian. to follow up all the kind of base damage plus a little bit of Penny has, just give himself a little bit over the edge.
Bancroft's.
I mean, yeah, Bancroft's going to be your, although less likely with the Divine Ruin, I'll still say probably the most likely pickup.
Sure.
Spear of the Magi is also quite potent here onto Jeremy, but then you're relying a lot on getting your passive to do really any of your damage with the Divine Ruin pickup.
Which makes it awkward for extended team fights as you try to attack in situations you shouldn't be. Otherwise, you're wasting the item. It's awkward.
There's also not, I mean, outside of Kiki, who will likely build his own Obsidian Shard, there's not a great magical burster that's going to benefit tremendously from that.
Right.
Kiki
well, I mean, he could build Spear of the Magus. That would work amazing.
It would make a bit more sense there, yes, as he is still, in fact, looking for the pen in his build as he went. Those CDR boots. I don't know, man. I'm really liking that. And looking at Chirby, he's got 2,700 gold and hasn't picked anything up.
Maybe he's just going to rush down Rod.
It could be. I mean, a straight Rod would be really great as well.
Though he did start Divine Ruin, which is notoriously low. He only has about 120 total, putting him up to 245. If he manages to pick it up early, he is about, say, 600 gold away. But it's not going to pay off the same dividend as if he had something like Bancroft's or Soul Reaver already in the pocket.
Well, starting to close in here is Snipe as Wolfie's in a, well, oh my, jeez Louise.
That's a Chalk they just did that to.
Well, you know, Chalk is Chalk is not the most resilient god around, considering that he has such a potent heal. It's kind of counterbalanced with the fact that his base armor is not amongst the top in his class. And, well, let's hold that thought as Fusion OP could be in some trouble here as well. Bombs raining down, forced to juke one away. Gonna need to back off. Incon diving in as well, and there's the knock-up. Ultimate's activated by Fusion OP, but he will go down before the ghosts come out too much, and the added protection's not doing enough to save his life there. And still, in the meantime, Allied, who's been at 3-0-4, pretty active, but feeling silent in this game as it's really been on the back of Incon, Jerby, and Weaken with these big wombo combos. Osmos, oh, you poor, poor bastard. And, yep, that's all she wrote for you, sir.
That's what we're talking about with the rewind. He has a lot of damage, but does he have the time to get off his healing?
Absolutely not.
Mid, Incontinentia tanking
There's
it up, no problem. Here comes Allied, stopping Jaco, no problem. Looking at Brochacho super low right now as Wolfie already has respawned, has worked his way back into the fight. Recon tanking the tower right now, but it's really not going to be enough. They're going to back out here, reset. Gold Fury coming up in a little bit. Are they going to go for it? It looks like Incon's backing maybe for the resurgence.
Weaken's leading players in player damage right now on that Mercury.
I would imagine.
Which is really, really nice. And what you saw there also was the synergy between this what is a traditional, very traditional Hunter build and the Executioner, but just how potent that item is, as it does apply the debuff similar to Spear of the Magus to your target, meaning that Weaken did so much damage there with the Rage Blade plus crit. Even though he doesn't have a lot of base damage coming out of these items, he has that almost true damage coming out of the Executioner.
Watch Brochacho, all eyes on Thurst right now.
Ultimate down.
Maybe not a final stand here, but yeah, how is he going to get into the backline? They know, just go for the engage. Wolfie, 4-man silence negated by Kiki. Fusion inside recalling demons, but he's focusing too much on the supports. Brochacho's low, forced to escape, thrown back into fire, gonna struggle, burn, and go down.
Oh, Allied turned and burned there in between two. They're not gonna dive Osmos here if they're smart. Jaco, he may throw out an Aaron Snipe onto Allied now that he's in position.
Oh no, it's back up.
Osmos is there. There's the blind coming out, but now realizing he can't run. I'm sorry, can't fight as Jaco. There's a Mercury ultimate, and he's gonna miss. Weaken feeling himself there. Oh no, you didn't.
He deserved that.
Incon actually missing the shield there, looking for Weaken, and yeah, he does deserve that.
He deserves that
one. And of course, Jeremy is gonna go for that Ratatouille outright purchase.
Wow.
I just have my hopes up for full-on meta build here, but not going to happen.
Nope, it looks like he's going to go for pure damage. 245 plus, of course, the 25% given to him. Looks like he's going to bring him up to somehow 306. Oh, I'm sorry, he also does have the Vampiric Shroud. So, strong. I mean, he has a lot of damage. You know, he scales very, very well, has a great range stun. But all I'm looking is at Kiki. I mean, these ultimates that he's put through have been incredible.
Yeah, and we were kind of wondering, like, who's going to get the Heavenly Agility? Who's going to get the Shell? And, well, quite obviously you put them both on Aphrodite because she does great with both of these, amplifying the healing with the Heavenly Agility, plus can bail out Weaken and Allied out of these fights as necessary. More Weaken to that effect than Allied. And also the Shell to come through. And without a Shell on a Fusion, like, he can't really deal here. Even though he is debuffing their magical protection with that Spear of the Magus proc. You know, a real pet build for Zhang Kui that we just don't see anymore is that Gem of Isolation on him, which is can be a 5-player slow coming right off the bat, and we just don't see much of that.
Speaking of 5 players, Incon blinking into them, gonna get a knock up onto 2. Jaco and Fusion
gonna
take this. This could be awkward here for the guys on Snipe.
Yeah, they're going in. Here is Thurst. They've actually picked a pretty good spot. Spread out fairly well is Snipe. Rashing through is weakened in the major look. Hit like 4 there. Ultimate coming out as well from Incon's going to secure them in place. A little bit of miscommunication as Incon, well, he measly throws in his measly robot hand auto attacks as the rest of the team chases down
They don't
Jaco.
have the damage.
Yeah, and this is kind of exactly what we thought might happen, which is that if you get behind with this squad, you have no damage. I mean, looking overall, player damage dealt, everybody sitting in between 7 and 8k. El Brochacho just at 4, 18k on Fusion with that ultimate, but every player on Snipe that's in the core there, Jeremy, Weak, and Allied, all over 10k, in fact, approaching 20k. And
well, I mean, I'm looking at Jerb. He's level 20 with Rod of Tahuti. That's level 5 meteors. That rain fire is going to do
damage.
Too much.
And, well, you can see just how much damage it's doing as Flame Wave puts out 370 damage onto that Zhang Kuei, who, well, while not having any actual magical protection items, strangely enough, with a Agni that is doing this well,
he
still
has
just
his
melts.
passive.
Yes, he has his passive, but he already used his ultimate in that last fight, so he had probably maybe only 1 or 2 stacks.
Yeah. Still, I mean, he takes a lot. I mean, that's a pretty tanky character regardless, and he gets blown up quickly. He just doesn't have it in him right now. Fire Giant's going to go down. Snipe up 20 kills. 3 members of the squad now are level 20, and Kiki, I'm sure, is very, very close to getting that himself. Incontinentia still has a ways to go, but across the board, he's still 3 levels higher than Brochacho. This would have to be the throw of the century for Snipe to throw this one away.
Ethereal Staff is up on Kiki as well, and
love it.
He's in the money.
Actually, don't love it.
Well, he doesn't have much synergy with the item out of his other pickups.
This is an item I like to see built after the health has
come
through.
It's still 900 stats, though.
That's
true.
true.
It's still 600 HP.
I mean, that's a lot. But at the same time, the damage could have been much higher. If he was looking for HP, he should have looked maybe to something else first, but to the same regard, maybe he just wanted a little bit more damage while getting defense. And
you know, I think this item is purely like it's this idea of battery, right, on Aphrodite, where she has so much mana, so much base mana, plus the plus the mana reach and the MP5 from Chronos Pendant, plus the max CDR. All those things combined kind of lets her just constantly retarget, constantly heal, and the ultimate becomes this very much a last-ditch effort as you can't really aggress into her.
Oh, Weaken's in. He's going right to Fusion. He does get healed up. Weaken's forced back a little bit here. Nice counter initiate. Brochacho has an opportunity as the 3-man silence goes through, but they're too deep. Fusion finally getting to the back line. Look for him to try to get some extra damage before backing up. You see him forced out as Weaken's going for the kill, and he does get it.
Weekend's going to get slowed out here. He's going to turn and burn, but no, gets exploded by Jaco. Rewind coming
Osmos,
out
finally
by
with the good
Osmos.
rewind.
And Thurst actually finding a way to hold their Mercury traded for Zhang Kuei. They'll take that all day. However, they still have to contend with 4 members of Snipe and a Fire Giant buff coming through, but they're clear between the Raw, the Chalk, and the Chronos is sufficient. But it will allow quite easily for Snipe to erase the rest of the Tier 2 towers from the map.
You know, we talked about Weekend having some get-out-of-jail-free cards, but you can't get out of jail free if no one's there to actually bail you. He put himself completely segregated from the team. Now Allied taking some damage as Kiki is forced to try to get Incon back up. Bomb coming out, only hitting 1 onto Brochacho, who actually dashes through the slow coming out from the rollout. The tower goes down as Osmos tries to just play Protector. He'll get a stun off, but not enough damage to deter completely. We're going to see them rotate to right.
You know what I really would have liked to see here is Fusion OP instead of building into what is a Tiny Trick in rank 2. We'll see probably a Divine Ruin coming out ultimately. I would have really liked to have seen the hide of the Nemean Lion. I can't even remember the name of that item. But Damage Reflect onto a Mercury doing this kind of damage without lifesteal?
To be fair, though, he's getting a lot of defenses during the fight, which means he's not going to reflect back maybe as much as he would like.
That's true, but it does make him... Like, what you're seeing right now is every time he initiates into these fights, he's forced to run away from the Mercury, because the Mercury is like, all right, you're going to do, like, 700 damage to me, and I'm going to do, like, 4,000 to you.
Oh, this is a 5v4. This is actually a really good opportunity, but the blow-up was huge there. Jaco getting some damage. Allied actually going down, and again, Osmos gets a good situation, enough, or at least enough time to push it back, but they took way too much there regardless, still losing 3.
Big plays there for Incontinentia. 2-1 and 20 is what I was trying to say there. And I don't know if you saw it there, but as that fight breaks out, he's in position and actually ults all 4 members of Snipe except for the Guan Yu, who's cavalry charging in, and they couldn't do anything to follow up his ultimate. And with that ultimate down, they got basically nothing in terms of initiation, and that was pretty much all she wrote for that fight. 3 members lost in
It's going to be all she wrote for this
Allied.
Phoenix, too.
Yeah, Phoenix going to go down. It is Fire Giant side, so not the worst possible situation, but at 28-6, things looking dire for the boys of Thurst.
Yeah, 13,000 gold behind as well. Let's add 750 to that. Going to bring them up to almost an even 14K. 27,000 experience ahead usually isn't super effective when people hit level 20, but there are 4 level 20s in an 18 and not one person at max level over on the side of Thurst.
Yeah, and you know, looking here at Weekend from Snipe, sitting at 13, 3, and 12, not only looking like a really good fantasy pickup, I think is really making a name for himself here in the North American scene as one of the premier junglers. I think that this team is very, very strong with Weekend. I think they got to be happy with how he has stepped in to replace the former captain.
Almost surprised, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
a lot of people spell curtains.
Like, Weekend has really, really overperformed in this role, where you're looking at probably, you know, the tenured players and the captain, Incon and Jerby, to really step up. Granted, Jerby actually has looked among his best here in the Smite Pro League, I'll say. And Incon has been extremely consistent, as is normal for him. But it's really been Weekend, I think, that's been the standout player for this team.
And it's funny because if you wouldn't have to ask many people to find, if you said who is the best player in the world, it wouldn't take you a long time to get to Shing's name eventually.
Right.
I mean, Shing is an incredible force. So when he left this team, pretty much everyone that was involved in analytics or casting or even other pro teams, including Snipe themselves, were probably like, this is not going to go well.
Or at least it's going to be shaky, right? You would
Right.
expect more of the Dignitas style of SPL out of them, given that that's replacing very, very central members of that team.
Whereas they went to the LAN event and they actually almost took Dignitas out immediately with their core roster back then without Shing.
Very true. Very true. That I mean, Snipe probably.
Like you said, we're looking a weekend at that, and right now 13-3-2, and Jerby having a really good game as well at 7-0-12.
Yeah, and Jerby, got to make the joke once cast, has actually been spot on with his ultimates all game here. Very, very nice placement, in fact. And granted, there's a little bit of a feeling of you know, shooting ducks in a barrel, fish in a barrel, kind of. I mean,
as trouble.
I think they don't want to aggress at a 5 for that, but I mean, he's had it's been such a great game to be playing Agni with what Incon's doing here and how effective he's been as Mercury just
Speaking of Mercury,
makes
look
a
at this
patty
guy.
cake with a Fire Giant here. Apollo's like, hey, I do damage too, let me help. And but I mean, Incon's been so effective with these ultimates and these counter initiations that as Thurst tries to pile in with their frontliners, the bombs are just doing so much damage. As you see, Wolfie. Wolfie, you don't have any magic protection, sir, as only your Hide of the Urchin there with not any stacks. Mercury dashing through.
That's big. Weekend finds 2 really big hits, forcing the Osmos early. Now, Brochacho's down. Fusion finally in there. The demons have been recalled, but too little, too late. No damage. 3-man silence coming out from Wolfie, taking too many shots from Allied. Weekend finds a double very quickly as they're going to turn their sights to Ra as he's going to attempt to kite them. Gets 2 big hits right there, but it's not going to be enough. Snipe has a really good opportunity to end here.
Yeah, I mean, once the Deathbringers are out, Thurst had no answer. And that kind of was known from the start, right? Was that once it got to this stage in the game where the Hunters are online, or rather the Hunter and what can be quite easily played as a Hunter and Mercury come online, so they're not going to have an answer for that physical burst. And as we're saying, you know, they need to find some kind of physical burst there between Guan Yu and Chalk. They just don't bring it. Well, itemization going the way of Incon here. Very magical focus, and he's just impossible to take down. Kiki too much base HP.
They're going to go for a kill here. Chasing Fusion. The Titan's going to go down, and Snipe proving that tiers do exist. 32-6. Every Fire Giant in their regard as well, with a clean 16,000 gold lead.
But you can see what the idea was here from Thurst, I think. This big front line with the magic damage carry in the backside on Osmos and actually getting his Celestial Legion helm out. Giving him quite a bit of damage on the back of those crits. But you saw there, I mean, it didn't really matter. The burst was just too much from the boys of Snipe. And, well, between those Agni bombs and the Aphrodite, I mean, they had plenty of magical damage. It wasn't like they were lacking in that department. And so this kind of all-in anti-physical crit item just didn't do enough for Kronos to bring him into that carry stage.
You know, looking at the board here, Fusion, 28,000. Jaco putting up 16K, almost 17 himself with 6K healing, which is super strong. But then you go across the way, Kiki doing 13,000 on the solo lane with 23,000 healing. That's not even including herself. And then Incon putting up 12K over double El Brochacho. But then you look at the big boys. Allied actually went into that fight tied with Weekend, put up 28K total. Weekend actually doubled the existing damage going into that last fight at 31,689. 99, clearing away the top damage.
Yeah, not often that you see spread damage being super effective against gods. Usually it's more of a clearing thing in Smite. But there we saw a couple times him throwing out a major look that would crit several players, and they just melted. I mean,
too much grouping.
There's nothing they could do. And yeah, especially in that last initiation from Mercury via Weekend at the end of that game where he picked up 2, as you noted. The major look coming out was just like destruction. But we do have a couple of replays ready for you guys. We actually have 2 from this game, a double from both Allied, followed by a double kill from Weekend. So let's go ahead and take a look at them.
Allied playing super strong. We didn't mention his name enough this game. 7-1 and 17 with 28k damage on the board. We're going to take a look at kind of how he got to that point.
Well, as you can see here, there's some things that Mercury's very good at. I'm sorry, Apollo, and one of them is global presence. And here, crashing down, doing a lot of damage to the backside of this fight to Jaco, and that puts him in such an awkward position. Even if he hits him with a beam here, it's still life-stealing his Allied. And at this stage with his crit online, he's going to be able to bring a lot of it back. And, well, the dash forward here is pretty much all she wrote as the birds come through and his final auto attack is there. Allied bailed out by that Aphrodite ultimate, stands and fights, and Kronos back into the jungle. That's pretty much all of that one. And here's what we were talking about at the end.
Yeah, right. He's going to go in. He finds 2 with that huge shot's actually going to force Brochacho into a really weird spot. Jaco gets some damage off, but this is what we're talking about. He bails him out with a Geb shield. He's able to turn around and find his way back in.
Fire giant buff ticking up, and major look. Oh, that was like a 1,500 damage, I think. We saw there a 400 crit followed by a 400 crit followed by a 600 crit as the Bloodforge did get stacked up for that final one. And well, this is why you first pick Mercury, but you don't first pick Kronos.
You know, what I really want to talk about is Allied right there. You know, in his clip, he hits Jaco, who wasn't super low, and then immediately turns his back to Ra. And he does this because he has so much faith in Incarnate, so much faith in Kiki, that he knows that if he gets into trouble while trying to do his carry damage, he's going to be covered. That's not something we've seen from Weak, and that's from Thurst, and that's not something that we've seen from the Fat Chunks. They seem to be segregated from the top 4 right now.
Yeah, they do. Taking a look at those standings, you can see kind of exactly how it is shaking out. Both teams struggling here at the bottom of the list in North America. 1-9 for Thirst, 2-8 for Fat Chunks. Although comfortably in that 5th position now are the Chunks up a game and a half, it looks like. Snipe does take themselves up to a tie for 3rd place. I'm sorry, yeah, in the 2nd, 3rd position with the boys of Cognitive. So looking very, very nice this year are the guys from Snipe in North America. And over in Europe, you can see exactly how it's shaking out there with Mortality leading all of the teams, TSM and Cloud9, battling their way back up into the premier teams of North America.
You know, it's the same kind of thing. We're seeing the bottom 2 teams be segregated, albeit a little bit less, from the top teams. It really seems like there are 4 very strong teams in each region. SK and Coast have the ability to catch up, though. We know that. We've seen them do well at LAN. We've seen them do well in Challengers. Fat Chunks and Thirst kind of starting to make their way into the Pro League, and it seems like they're having a little bit more trouble than people had expected. But this is not done for Week 3. Tomorrow we're going to catch back up with Snipe as they finish up their week, as they go up against COD Prime.
That's right, and they'll definitely have their hands full with MLC Stealth and the boys, but we'll see that one tomorrow, guys, starting at 7:30. There'll be just one game tomorrow, as we are during our bye week here. These are simply reschedules. This weekend, however, we do have some European LAN action going down. It's going to be in Sweden, Galv, actually. It's going to be, well, the top 4 teams from Europe doing battle for the bounty of the TSM Apollo skin, rounding up to about $33,000 being that prize pool. So definitely something to catch. The coverage will come here from America, though Hindu Man and ABC will be on site to bring you all that coverage as well. Don't miss that one. It's coming to you live starting at noon CEST, actually. So 6 a.m. Eastern here on the Smite Game channel. That's going to be on Saturday. And so, yeah, DM, I'll see you bright and early for that one. But that's going to do it for today's cast. You have any final thoughts?
I mean, looking back at the standings, Cognitive Red, huge right now. Someone's got to stop these monsters. So far, they've had 1 legitimate loss and a DQ off of a combat pause in a game that they were winning vastly.
Hands down winning. Yeah, well, we'll see, guys, how it all does go down. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for our final game of the week before the weekend coming through. In the meantime, you can always look forward to watching the VODs or catching the guys out of the Challenger Salt crew holding it down over there. For everyone here in production, myself, DM, all the players, thank you for tuning in, guys, and we will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, right here on the Smite Game channel.